You're listening to Two Girls, One Crossword.
It's Super Bowl Sunday.
Whoa. Actually, this will air after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so let's make our predictions now. Who's playing again? The Eagles?
The Eagles, and I haven't a goddamn clue who the other team is. The Chiefs. All right. Which is hilarious because we're hosting a birthday party for me.
Chelsea's having a Super Bowl themed birthday party, everyone. Believe it or not. You heard it here first. Miss Sports over here.
Yeah, I love sports and athletics, especially football, so much that I had to have my birthday party be sports themed.
I feel like it's camp.
That's it. Thank you.
Right?
So
like
much.
We're doing it like kind of ironically.
Exactly.
And Rihanna's performing at the halftime show.
It's all lining up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a perfect amalgamation of everything that is my personality. And I told Matt that I wanted to do a Super Bowl party. He's like, but will your friends think that I want to have a Super Bowl party? And I'm like, first of all, they're your friends too. Second of all, like, I'm pretty sure people will realize that it's just me trying to be as random as possible.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And he's like, well, I don't know. You have to tell them because I don't want them to think that I wanted to host a Super Bowl party. I'm like, I don't think anybody thinks you wanted to host a Super Bowl party. Nobody know, like, you don't care about the Eagles. I don't technically care about the Eagles. It's just like a South Jersey pride thing. But
yeah. So are we cheering for the Eagles then?
We're cheering for the Eagles.
Okay.
I didn't even know who was playing until you just said the Chiefs. So
I'm cheering for my squares to win.
Exactly. I'm mostly excited about the pigs in a blanket and the soft pretzels because we're just doing frozen soft pretzels because in this godforsaken state of Illinois, they don't do soft pretzels the way they do it in Philly. So, sorry.
Well, I'm excited. And yeah, I mean, there's money on the line. I was telling Chelsea, like, squares is the only way I can kind of pretend to care about the Super Bowl because it's like, it requires it's pure luck.
Pure luck.
It's very easy to play. And then I just, at the end of each quarter, I all of a sudden care. But the thing is, I don't understand how, like, points work that well in football. So I'm like, is there even a chance that the score can end in this number?
Can the score be this? Somebody tell me. Yeah, I know. It's like sort of multiples of 7-ish, but you could also have multiples of 6 as well.
Anything can happen, though.
Anything can happen. She's been there. She's done that. She's seen every single Super Bowl that's ever been on television.
And the best is when, or the worst for some of us, like there's been times where the score has not changed. And so people win squares for both the second and third quarter. I mean, I only know football when it comes to squares. That's it. That's all I got for you.
Yeah,
and the halftime show.
Yeah. The halftime show, Rihanna, God bless her, coming out and showing off. I have it.
Go ahead.
I have it on my 2023 bingo card that she releases new music this year, like a new album specifically. So I'm just wondering if she's gearing up for something. I think she's had the baby. Now it's time for the music.
I'm interested to see like who, because I feel like people always kind of pop up as a surprise. So I'm interested to see like who else
who's going to be
there. Well,
I guess by the time this out,
people will be like, yeah, we know it's old news. Well, everyone, I guess you'll hear next time if I won my squares or not.
Yeah, and you'll hear all about our Super Bowl sports party hosted by your biggest sports fan. I know, I've got an outfit already planned. You just wait.
Okay. Cute.
I mean, it's not that exciting, but just know.
I also have to be comfortable. I mean, I'm sitting around all day. It's like I'm not wearing anything with a button.
Because this is craft Super Bowl party. We're crafting and Super Bowling. So mostly we'll be crocheting and not talking while the Super Bowl plays in the background. So
perfect.
Just
as God intended.
Yes. God willing.
Well, this isn't a Super Bowl podcast. It's actually a crossword podcast, and it's called Two Girls, One Crossword. I'm Grace Topinka.
I'm Chelsea Rowe, and this is your favorite weekly pod word crosscast, where we do occasionally talk about how much we love sports.
Sometimes my sports trivia surprises me, like when I'm doing crosswords.
True. And sometimes I wonder, like, how much of this is retained from, like, just years of being around people who do actually genuinely care about sports, or did I pick this up through crosswords? I think it's a little bit of both.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
You know, like I know things about golf and tennis that I never wanted to know thanks to crosswords. No offense to people who play golf or tennis, of course, but just not an interest of mine.
And highlight. Should we get into our Pollapalooza?
Yes, let's get into the Pollapalooza.
Okay. Remember last week Chelsea's topic was Uno. So on Twitter I asked, what was your go-to card game as a kid? And I tried to do like kid, more kid card games.
Mm-hmm.
So potential options were War, Uno, Spit, and Monopoly Deal. Are you the person who's obsessed with Monopoly Deal?
No, that's not me.
Okay.
I would have put an Old Maid down, but I feel like not a lot of people have played Old Maid.
Yeah, I feel like I played that one, but not as often because you need a special deck for that one. You know?
You could technically make it with a 52 deck of cards, but yeah, you'd have to go in and do it. Anyway.
Well, with 50% of the vote in first place was War. I feel like that one was pretty common. Like I remember playing that a lot at summer camp because it's really easy to play.
It is. I never played it because I always thought it was like, this is boring. Let's do something with more going on.
Yeah. Okay, tied for second and third place were Uno and Spit. Did you ever play Spit?
That was my go-to. It was
okay,
Uno or Spit would have been my go-to, yeah.
Spit was amazing, and it was like so fast-paced.
I'd play Spit with you, by the way.
All right, fine. Bring a deck tomorrow. I only have one deck, but I've used part of it for a magic trick, so a card is ripped up, so it's not playable.
Don't worry, I got plenty of decks for us.
Okay, and then last place with 8% was Monopoly Deal.
Amazing. I'm amazed.
Maybe it's Alex who's obsessed with it. Someone that I know is obsessed with Monopoly Deal. That's why it came when I searched like common child card games, it came up. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, someone I know likes this, but people voted.
I don't think I've ever played it. We played a lot of Monopoly as kids, but not Monopoly Deal.
You know that I don't play Monopoly.
I know you don't. I think of the three of myself and my siblings, the three of us, of our partners, we've traumatized two of the three by playing Monopoly. And two of the three have vowed to never play Monopoly with us again. The third, she's got a strong will. God bless her. Erica, she will fight to the death over Monopoly with family members or not. But Matt and Diana, no. They have vowed to never play it again.
It's just too long. Like, it takes too long. That's my issue with it.
There's that. And then when you have, like, a family like mine that can get really cutthroat with board games, especially if there's, like, wheeling and dealing going on. Like, I'll trade you this for this. And someone is, like, in a bad mood, so they'll say no. Or, like, they've gotten to an argument with you earlier in the day. So they're like, no, I'm never trading with you this whole game. And they've ruined the game by doing that. Oh, you gotta love siblings. It's great.
Yeah, I'll play Clue in life.
We've never
it has a beginning and an end, and it doesn't get too crazy.
We've never played either of those, and I love both of those. We should find one like a thrift
You've never
store
played Clue?
Together with you.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay.
Of all the years that you've said that you like Clue, and I like board games, I also really like Clue.
Yeah.
The fact that I'm like, we should just play one single board game together with each other. Clue is more than enough.
Well, let me tell you this story, because I've always not liked to play board games at parties, and my friend, I've always had friends who love it, and my friend Alexa was hosting a party once with like a bunch of people, and they were like, let's play a board game, and I was like, ugh, but whatever. They brought out Clue, so I was like, fine. And we go around. It was like in the first round, I make it into a room, and I make a prediction of who I think did it, and I was right. And the game ended. And I guessed myself to be funny. And I actually was the killer.
Power move. Power move.
It's like, you did this on purpose. It's like, how could I possibly do that on purpose?
How could I possibly? Yeah, unless you cheated, but she's not a cheater.
Mm-mm.
I would do something like that, but Grace probably wouldn't. So,
yeah.
Shall we move on? I actually have a corrections corner.
Okay.
And okay, so remember last week when we were recording and I was like, I think I might make a fool of myself with how I'm interpreting this clue and answer. It was about the better than sex. Okay, so somebody wrote to us, one of our listeners wrote to us. I'm pulling up their message right this very moment. Okay. Sean wrote to us and said, First off, love the podcast. Keep it up.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Sean. I did want to point out, though, that the explanation for the clue, topping, question mark, with the answer was better than sex, and I interpreted it as the topping for cake better than sex, is actually referring to topping, in quotes, in the sense of a sexual position, not cake. I only bring it up because I loved that one. So I just need to defend myself, first of all. So when I first solved this as better than sex, I was like, when I first saw the clue, topping, I was like, is this a sex thing? Like, about topping, which I know what it is, okay? I'm not a prude. And, but I was like, I don't understand how topping is how something about sex could be better than sex. It couldn't compute in my mind, right? And so I brought this up to Matt. I read the text to Matt, and Matt was like, I think what the clue is saying is topping is better than, I can't remember what he said now.
It's saying like topping, like replace the first topping with outdoing. So outdoing topping is something that's better than topping, better than sex.
Okay. So that's what it all comes down to. But I couldn't compute the logic of the phrasing. And so I was like, there's no way that topping, like the sexual act of topping, can be better than sex because it is sex, right? So I talked myself out of it. And so then I talked myself into the cake topping, and here we are many years later.
She can talk herself into any answer, truly. I don't see it as much anymore, but I remember at the office, it's like you could really convince yourself that anything is the right answer.
Oh, it's just like a small glimpse into my brain and how it works.
The brain of cheese.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean, for writing. I'm glad it cracked you up, and I hope you realize that it took me a while to get to the cake topping, but whatever. We're here. We're here now.
Sorry our innocent minds didn't go there.
Also, I just wanted to say one of our listeners wrote to us and said, you've got me wanting to play Uno so badly now. Like, I also want to play Uno, and I might use my birthday girl power to make us play Uno on Sunday, whenever that Super Bowl is. But I feel like Matt will kibosh it before it even happens because he hates Uno. But this person also said, I'm not a dentist, but I think you're getting scammed on those fillings being replaced.
I have
fillings
that.
that are 45 years old. If you are a dentist, can someone who's a dentist please let us know? Also, Hannah's cousin is a dentist who we play D&D with. Alex has met her, Renee. We could talk to her and get the full scoop.
I can just Google it. I know, but whatever. I already got them done, so that's it. Anyways,
you sure? Let's move on.
Well, let's get into our heights and shites.
I have one hit that I want to start with.
Tell me.
I'm just a recurring theme. Learned League is starting. The Monday that this episode releases will be the first day that Grace and I will be in Learned League. I mean, I'm anticipatory, a little bit anxious about it.
I'm anxious about the commitment.
That's what I'm anxious about, is the commitment. I'm trying to tell myself that it's like the same thing as doing like the Wordle or the Worldle every day. I can do this.
Well,
we got to do
I'm
it.
happy to be like on the low end of the ranking for everyone. I'll pat out the bottom so people feel good about themselves.
But yes, it's coming up, so we'll keep you guys informed about how our Learned League progress goes. That is an upcoming hit.
I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. You got to let me know.
We'll talk on Sunday. We'll talk on
okay.
Sunday. All right.
Now I'm nervous. Okay.
We're doing this together. Let's move into our actual hits and shits. Do you want to start us off?
Sure. I'll start us off with the Monday New York Times by Taylor Johnson. 15 across. One really shouldn't be used to clean your ears, doctors say. The answer is Q-tip. Okay. I've actually, in the new year, I used a Q-tip once at my parents' house, but I have not rebought them.
Proud of you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 32 across. Popular same-sex dating app. Grindr. In the New York Times. We love to see it. 57 across. Fancy seeing you here. Was oh hi. 44 down. For heaven's sake was dear God.
I would like to see like Heavens to Betsy in a crossover.
One day. And then this is kind of related to Q-tip, but 65 across. Blank pot device for clearing sinuses. Neti.
I've never used one. Have you used a neti pot?
I've used them, but I don't use them regularly because I get kind of nervous about creating some type of bacterial infection in my sinuses. But I feel like that's something that I could definitely get more into if I had like more access to distilled water.
Right. Getting the distilled water is the problem. It's not like it's hard to find distilled water, but you have to get to a place that you don't usually shop at to get distilled water. Like they don't sell distilled water at like Aldi, you know. You have to go to like
no, you got to go to Walgreens or CVS.
Yeah, and it's a pain in my butt. Is that all you had for that one?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to do the Friday, February 3rd, New Yorker by Barbara Lynn. I liked the opener, one across, finishing line, cry, question mark. The answer was bingo. Finishing line, cry, bingo. Also, we should be going to bingo. I have seen people like our age going to bingos at like various like church community or community halls or whatever, and it seems like a lot of fun.
It's really fast when they do it like that. I've been to a bingo like that once, and it was like, could barely keep up. Oh, well, that depends. If it's for old people, no, it'll be slower. But they're serious there.
I know. I want to try it. That's like, I should make a bucket list, a 35 by 35 bucket list or something, and then...
and it's play bingo at a community center.
Yeah. I also like 14 across, beginning to happen, and the answer is afoot. I feel like that is the same vibe as like a lot of the little isms that we pass back and forth.
It's afoot.
It's afoot. And then 18 across, I learned something new. Long ones can be measured in centuries, and the answer was bike rides. I was like, what in the GDH are you guys talking about? So apparently a century ride is 100 miles. That's what they call it. And then a 100-kilometer bike ride is called a metric century, which converts to roughly 62 miles. So a century ride is 100 miles. And I was like, yeah, all right.
Who's crazier, like a cyclist or a runner?
I think a runner.
Yeah. There could literally be like nuclear fallout in a runner. You'll see someone like running.
Like this is perfect weather for running. Seriously. 34 across, award quartet, and the answer is EGOT. If you listen to episode 124 of The American Dream, Grace talks about EGOTs and the current EGOT winners. But boom, 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 we have a recently new EGOT winner.
I was going to look it up, but now I remember who it is.
It's Viola Davis, and she got her Academy Award in 2016 for Best Supporting Actress for Fences. She got her Emmy in 2015 for How to Get Away with Murder. And then she has 2 Tony Awards, one from 2001 for King Hedley II and one in 2010 for acting in Fences. And then she just got her Grammy in 2023, Best Audiobook Narration. So... Good for a book called Finding Me. So good for Viola. Welcome to the club. Not that I'm in the club, but welcome to your
We
new
love
club.
To see it.
And that's what I have from that puzzle. Where is she going to take us?
Sure. The Tuesday New York Times by Ellen Lushner.
Yeah, all right.
9 down, something to watch on a telly. And the answer is BBC.
BBC.
19 down, beast in rare quote-unquote sightings. And the answer is Yeti. And I don't appreciate it being included that way because some people have seen the Yeti.
I loved your Yeti topic, by the way.
Yeah.
Jimmy Stewart makes an appearance in her Yeti topic. And that's all I'm going to say. Write to us if you want the episode.
Or look it up yourself.
Yeah.
If you can. 50 down, no need to wake me. And the answer is I'm up. And I feel like that just like brings back the like worst memories from high school. Because my room was upstairs. So my parents would always be like, are you awake? And I'd be like, I'm up. Then I'd have to like yell it even louder. It's like, this is the worst way to wake up in the morning. 60 down, like a bug in a rug. And the answer was snug.
Snug as a bug in a rug.
And then I love this one. 14 across, organizer of a couples cruise, question mark. And the answer was Noah.
That was really cute.
5
Speaking
down.
of cruises, I'm sorry, but are you getting a ton of Virgin Cruise Line? Like, it's
because I started clicking on them. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
It's almost convincing me, but then I'm like, no, I don't want to go on a cruise. But sometimes they look fun. I don't know.
They do look fun if it wasn't on the ocean. I'm not going to get into it, but
I know.
I was like, these are very clearly not sponsored, but influencer planted content.
For
They
sure.
definitely paid for all these people to go on and post
Well,
all this content because all the
it's
content's very
new.
the same.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a new, like, adults only, which I like
Mhm.
because, I mean, no offense to kids, but it's like, I don't want to be in a pool with kids.
No. Oh my
It's
God.
literally disgusting. That's
Yeah.
what, when we went on our family vacation in Florida, all these kids in the pool, it was like a cesspool. That's probably where I got COVID from the pool. Okay, 5 down. 3rd degree, question mark. And the answer was PhD.
Nice.
That's all I have from that one.
Twist my arm. I'd love to get a PhD. Anyway, I did a Sunday Washington Post, Evan Bernholz. They're still up on the website, so keep doing them. This is from February 5th. I liked the theme. The puzzle was called The Call of the Wild. And essentially, it was interestingly clued phrases that also included, they were like kind of punny, and they include animal sounds. For instance, I'll just give you a couple. 23 across. Sound made by a wolf when a web page is being pulled up. And the answer was loading bay. Bay being what a wolf does. 25 across. Sound made by a correct dolphin. Right click. Or 39 across. Sound made by a dog after eat something coated with a brown spice. Cinnamon bark. So it was fun. I also liked 10 across. One in a hot tub was bather. I desperately need to get into a hot tub as soon as possible.
I know.
Let's go to King Spa.
Yeah.
Seriously. I took like an incredibly hot shower last night, and I was like,
This isn't cutting it.
this isn't cutting it, but this is the life, you know? Like, this is what I need in my life every day.
Alex, like, talks, she's like, maybe we can go to King Spa. I'm like, you can't handle King Spa because she doesn't even like hot tubs. I'm like, King Spa is like hot. The hot tubs there are hotter than like a regular hot tub. I'm like, you're going to pass out. I just don't think it's safe for her.
I don't think, and a lot of the rooms are like just
Heat.
warm, you know? Like, I don't know. You have to be in that mindset. Also, you did a topic on jacuzzis, but I couldn't find it on the podcast, the topic list. Was it the same topic as bathhouses, or were they different? I thought they were different. I can't
I don't remember.
We'll have to look.
It might
but
have
I
been
couldn't.
the same one. Yeah.
But yes, Grace did. She's covered bathhouses. She's covered jacuzzi. She's covered it all. It's
I've done
perfect.
it all, people.
I also liked 22 across. Country that has lost its way, abbreviated. And the answer was NOR for Norway. And then one's welcoming a gale after a tornado, 59 down. And the answer was Munchkins. Gale, Dorothy Gale. I was like, that was so cute. That's what I have from that puzzle. Good job.
I also did that puzzle, and I liked the theme too. But another one that I liked was 123 across, fast finish, question mark. And the answer was Easter.
Oh, cute.
That Evan. Okay, I did the Wednesday New Yorker, February 8th by Patrick Barry.
Okay.
29 across, the Eric Blank Show adult swim series. Eric Andre. If you don't know,
Of course.
we're his biggest fans.
Love him.
51 across, words that people claim they hate to say. I told you so.
I hate to say it, but I told you so.
54 across, smallest protestation. Peep.
Don't make a peep.
11 down, one moved by a speech, question mark. And the answer was Adam's apple.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
Sorry, that was it.
I'm just going to give you just a couple from the Palo from Thursday. Palo Pasco, New Yorker, February 9th, 10 across. Of course I read your screenplay, maybe. And the answer was fib, which is hilarious. I've been in that situation. Let's see. 60 across. TS, who wrote Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. The answer was Elliot, of course. Grace and I. And
Paolo always puts cats somewhere
always. You
in
can
the puzzle.
always count on Paolo for a cat's clue. We're seeing cats at the end of February. I'm very, very excited. We've got February is going to be a good month for us. We're both seeing Les Mis and we're seeing cats together. So
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be so fun.
It's going to be amazing.
Thank you, Chicago Theater Week.
Seriously. And then last one, 23 down, figure clumsily relating pop culture to Bible lessons in memes. And the answer was youth pastored.
I love those TikToks.
I know. It's so good. That's what I got. Shall we just move right into the coin flip?
Yes, but I do want to say one thing.
Yes.
The Thursday New York Times by Alex Rosen
Mm-hmm.
clued 10 down actress Elba of Cats. It was Idris. You know I love when they clue him for cats.
You love to see it. You love to see it. And that I think in the Evan puzzle, he clued like blank Holmes too, and the answer was Enola. And I love that they were doing the sequel for literally no other reason than just to have like variety in the cluing. I love seeing that, like why Enola Holmes too, not just Enola Holmes. Anyway, fun stuff. I'm so excited to see cats. But more to the point, shall I flip the coin?
Flip it.
All right, I'm flipping the coin now. It's tails. Congratulations.
Oh my god, I wasn't expecting this. Okay. My clue comes from the Thursday New York Times by Alex Rosen. 38 across. Garment patented in 1914 by Mary Phelps Jacob.
Polo?
Bra.
I'm
not doing it. I'm not doing it on the bra. I'm doing it on Mary Phelps Jacob.
Okay, that's fine.
The bra comes up, but
all right. We
at first
do not have the same topic, by the way.
Okay. I was going to do it on the bra, but then when I kept looking more into Mary Phelps Jacob, I was like, wait a minute, she's kind of interesting. So
cool.
But bras, my voice cracked. Love them or hate them, they are a staple of women's fashion. Although maybe slowly coming out of fashion. I don't know. Obviously, people need bras. But anyways, it's more common now not to wear a bra. But the first version of the modern bra we know today, because of course, there's been like bras throughout time and like corsets and all that stuff. But the modern bra was patented by Mary Phelps Jacobs, who nicknamed herself Polly. So we'll call her Polly. She later went by Cress Crosby, which I think she's better known as. But for now, we'll call her Polly. So yes, she's very interesting.
All right.
She was born in New Rochelle, New York on 4/20, 1891, so she is an Aries, to a prominent New England family. She said herself she was raised, quote, in a world where only good smells existed, and, quote, what I wanted usually came to pass. So Polly was 19 years old. She was a New York socialite. She was known for her firecracker personality. In the early 20th century, she would attend multiple balls in one night, preparing for her debutante ball, which is a topic that Chelsea did, but she wasn't quite ready to be presented to society, so she would just be going to all these balls.
I was curious if we were going to hear about her Deb.
So she had to get really dressed up for all these things, and the undergarment style at the time was a corset made with stiff whale bones. You'd wear like a corset and then something over it, and it was really tight and uncomfortable and stiff. According to Wikipedia, it, quote, jammed her large breasts together into a single monobosom. But one night she wanted to wear a sheer evening gown with a plunging neckline, but her corset cover kept poking out from under the gown, and it just wasn't working. So she told her maid to bring her 2 pocket handkerchiefs, a pink ribbon, and some needles and pins, and she fashioned herself a simple, non-obtrusive bra. Then she went to the ball, and imagine all her friends are there, like with their corsets, could barely move, and she's there like dancing, moving very freely, doing back bends. She could she has full mobility, and her friends are like, "Oh my god, yeah." Her friends are like, "What's your secret? What are you wearing?"
Secret?
And so then she told them, and so they were all like, "You have to make us them too." So she made all her friends these bras as well.
Oh my god.
And then one day she got a letter in the mail from someone who she didn't know being like, "Hey, can you make me a bra? I'll give you $1 for it," which I guess at the time was a lot of money. And then she was like, "Okay, I have a business because people want this and they'll pay for this."
People want this. Yes. Oh my god.
So she dubbed her invention brassiere and wrote into the patent office saying her garment was, quote, capable of universal fit to such an extent that the size and shape of a single garment will be suitable for a considerable variety of different customers. She also said it was, quote, so efficient that it may be worn even by persons engaged in violent exercise, like tennis.
I love it.
The patent was issued in 1914. Around this time, she married a man named Richard Peabody. He was like, the Peabodys are another New England elite family, really rich.
Peabody, all of those.
Yeah. She opened the Fashion Form Brassiere Company in 1920 and was just like, making bras.
Mm-hmm.
Her husband Richard went away to war, and when he came back, he became an alcoholic. He lost his inheritance. He was kind of a mess. Polly was 28 at this time, and she started an affair with Harry Crosby, who was another wealthy Bostonian, family person, but he was only 23 at the time.
Oh my God.
Another fun fact about Harry is he is a descendant of Peggy Schuyler, if you're a Hamilton fan or an American History fan. She was his great-great-grandmother or something.
Do you think they knew, since we're talking Boston, do you think they knew the Ice King? They had to have known the Ice King,
for
Mr.
Sure,
Tudor.
For sure. Harry fell in love with Polly a few hours after meeting her, and he told her he loved her during their affair in an amusement park's tunnel of love. That story came up a bunch, but I guess they had to sneak around. So
yeah,
he pursued her until she left Peabody, and they eventually got married. She did have 2 children with Richard Peabody, which they kind of come up later. But so she has 2 kids, but she marries this young guy. Get married. They move to Paris together. And they start hanging out with Ernest Hemingway, James Joyce, D.H. Lawrence, Pablo Picasso, Salvador Dali, probably drinking absinthe.
What a life. What a life.
And since Polly used to be Polly Peabody, and she was now a Crosby, her husband was like, you need to change your name to something that starts with a C.
Oh my God.
So it sounds better. And his suggestion was but with a Y. Clytors.
Are you serious?
Yeah. She was like, no, I'm not doing that. She was like, maybe I'll change it to Caress. So she became Caress Crosby. And that's the name that she kept for, the rest of her life. But she had Whippets, the dogs that they're kind of like smaller greyhounds.
Yeah.
They look very nervous all the time. So she got a second Whippet, and she named that Whippet Clitoris.
The vibes of this couple.
Yeah.
I can't.
And their first Whippet's name was Narcisse Noir.
I kind of am obsessed with both of them.
Well, okay, keep in mind, they do have some problematic things to talk about.
Of course. Yeah. But the vibes, unfortunately, are currently immaculate.
Yes. So Crosby, the husband, he was a trust fund baby. So he told Caress that she should just abandon her bra business because, it wasn't doing that well and whatever. They were in Paris. So she ended up selling her patent to Warner Brothers Corset Company for $1,500 only.
Damn.
But Warner Brothers got this patent. They started making a ton of money from her idea, especially because this was kind of around World War II. The government urged women to stop using corsets because they needed to save all that metal for war efforts. Mm-hmm. So the modern bra, this wireless bra, became more popular than ever. And over the next 30 years, it made Warner Brothers company $15 million. So
sorry,
sad.
Caress.
Yeah. And I think the Warner Brothers company, whatever, eventually turned into Calvin Klein and some other, famous underwear company. But the Crosbys lived a very eccentric expat life in Paris. So there was a bunch of expats in Paris at this time, artists, all those authors and stuff. They had a very lavish home. It included a white wall that served as a guest book, which they invited their artist friends to mark with watercolor paints. So on there you could find scrawls by Salvador Dali twirled into a phoenix painted by D.H. Lawrence.
Is this preserved somewhere?
I don't.
Insane.
Yeah, I need to check. They started Black Sun Press and published works by now famous authors like D.H. Lawrence, Kay Boyle, Ezra Pound, Lewis Carroll, James Joyce, just to name a few. The couple, they didn't really care about their future. They kind of lived their life by the seat of their pants. They spent their money recklessly. They never tried to live on a budget. This was in part because they had pledged a mutual suicide pact in which they planned to jump out of an airplane together on October 31st, 1942, because on that day, the Earth would be the closest to the sun that it had been in several decades. This was to be followed by cremation and then dispersal by another airplane ride.
All right. I'm telling you, I know this is kind of fucked up, but this is the subject of a movie. Why isn't this a movie yet?
I read one story that said, which I don't know how much of these stories are true. There's like all these different things about them. I'm not even like scratching the surface, and there's a bunch of weird. I mean, it's too complicated to get into the full timeline. But they were once invited to a ball at a local art school. Think like college age or like adults, not kids.
Mm-hmm.
And Harry showed up with a necklace made of 4 dead pigeons, a loincloth, and a bag of snakes. And then Caress came either with like a sheer skirt, whatever, topless, with a turquoise wig and skin dyed with red ochre. They had a very passionate and wild marriage. It was also an open marriage. Sadly, Harry went through with suicide, but at the age of 31, but not with Caress, instead with one of his mistresses. So
my God.
Yeah.
He jumped the gun. I shouldn't say gun. Sorry.
He didn't do it. They didn't do the airplane thing. It was like, I don't know. You can read more about that if you want. But after his death, Caress began a second publishing company called Crosby Continental Editions, which printed works by Hemingway, Faulkner, Edgar Allan Poe, and Dorothy Parker. Her Time magazine eulogy called her the literary godmother to the lost generation of expat writers in Paris. So there's a lot that happens before she dies, but I brought this up because a lot of people think that she wrote all of the erotica in Henry Miller's Opus Pistorum, aka Under the Roofs of Paris. And she basically was like, had this publishing company, was publishing all these authors, potentially helping them, and writing a lot of erotica at the time. She was just like
amazing.
Writing porn and writing erotica like stuff for other authors to use.
Mm-hmm. That happens a lot, by the way, and like historically, a lot of women have written huge parts of men's writing, but they never get the credit for it,
Yeah.
Like in the back, they're like, thanks. I'll be like, thank you to my wife for writing this entire novel for me while I was on my sick bed. Like, literally, they'll say shit like that, but it's their name on the book and not their wife's name. Anyway.
Okay, in the 1930s, she was in her 40s and she moved back to the US. She opened a gallery in DC and she founded the art and literary magazine Portfolio. She ended up marrying a football player who was 18 years her junior, but that only lasted 3 years. Then in the 1950s, she was back in Europe. She bought Rocasinabalda, which was a crumbling 15th century Italian castle outside of Rome, and she transformed it into an artist commune and a center for world peace.
Okay.
She established 2 organizations, Women Against War and Citizens of the World. And while she did seem to have a genuine interest in political activism, she also still wanted to live lavishly.
Sure.
She was carried around the castle grounds in a chair. And when going to see her daughter on Ibiza, she shipped a large black limousine and a chauffeur over to the island for just a single night's stay. She died in 1970 at the age of 78 due to complications from pneumonia after dealing with heart issues for a while. Towards the end of her extravagant life, when asked about her bra invention, she said, quote, "I can't say the brassiere will ever take as great a place in history as the steamboat, but I did invent it." So
amazing. Her life is just so wild. I love that she was the person who invented the bra, because I feel like taking the bra off is like a sign of liberation, right? And she's the person who invented the bra, but she had like an incredibly liberated life, due in part to her extreme wealth. But it's just an interesting dichotomy.
Yeah. Don't let the tight, laced up constraints of society decide your life. Instead, use your large inheritance to live life on your own terms. So I want to mention that Caress wasn't all great. I saw some references to her and Harry Crosby sleeping with like underage people, because they had a lot of threesomes and stuff. She also shipped her kids off to boarding school once they moved to Paris because Harry didn't like her kids very much. So she wasn't a great mom. I'll end with a quote from Tamara Colchester, who is Caress's great-granddaughter. She wrote a book about her called The Heart is a Burial Ground. And she says, "Caress's life opens the door on the interesting intersection between desire and the responsibilities of motherhood. The former begets the latter, and the latter often seems to obscure the former. Caress did not allow that. She wanted to remain desirable, and there's something satisfying about seeing a woman who does not allow age to dim her radiance. However, there are also some very powerful consequences." So, some people in her personal life, may have been very hurt by her.
Certainly.
But, yeah. I got most of my information from an article on anothermag.com called The Extraordinary Life of Caress Crosby, Inventor of the Bra by Tish Wrigley. But, yeah, that's That's caress.
That, I feel like that is like the perfect, like, Wes Anderson movie in a way. Just like her life seems that wild. Like, absurdly wild.
Yeah, and again, like that was just scratching the surface.
I can't wait to read more about her. I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there is a movie or a documentary, but amazing.
Amazing. Wow. Okay. I mean, obviously, if she did bad things to her family, then she did. And if she was with minors, then hell to pay. But, God. The fact that she went from being like just like a socialite, she's like, I'm just going to invent this thing so that I can wear this see-through dress.
I know. I love this. She just like how the invention came around and everyone was like, wow, that's really smart. We should do that.
Right. Of course. Well, that's amazing. Let's all burn our bras. Not out of respect for her. Not out of. Cool.
I know. I feel like these days she wouldn't even want to wear a bra. Exactly. But I guess she had big boobs. I don't know. That's what some of the stuff I read said.
Big boobs. I had to be there, folks. Anyway. Okay, my topic comes from the Tuesday, February 7th New York Times by Ellen Luschner. 64 down, big initials in RV hookups.
KOA.
KOA. I'm talking about KOAs today.
Alrighty.
So it's funny that you were like, I was going to do bras, but then I was looking into the inventor and her life is like really interesting, so I decided to do that. I decided to do KOAs because I thought it was going to be like this really interesting topic.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I didn't learn anything, but sometimes like you pick a topic, you're like, oh, this is going to be really interesting. And then you're like, there's nothing here. Where's the drama? Where's the spice? So there's not as much drama or spice as Caress Crosby, rather. But we will be talking about KOAs, also known as Campgrounds of America, spelled with a K. So KOA, I know. KOA, or Campgrounds of America, is an American franchise of privately owned campgrounds with more than 500 locations across the United States and Canada. I didn't realize they were privately owned. I thought it was a government thing, but I'm an idiot. Apparently, it is a private company. It is the world's largest system of privately owned campgrounds. Also interesting. So, first things first, have you ever camped before? Tent, RV, cabin?
Yes, but not at a KOA.
So you've never camped at a KOA?
No. But I have camped before, yes, in a tent.
In a tent? Have you done any of the cabins, RV stuff as well?
No, I've never camped. I've never been in an RV.
I've never done an RV either. I have done cabin camping and tent camping, and I have camped at a KOA.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you've never camped before, or maybe you've camped at a KOA, you've probably seen their, like, I don't want to say infamous, but like their sign or their logo that they're known for, the KOA logo on the side of the road, on the side of the highway. KOAs are everywhere. That's basically what I'm getting at. But let's get into the history. We have to head back to 1962 to a man named Dave Drum. All this alliterative names this time. It's amazing.
I know. Makes you think.
Makes you think about.
Should we change our name? No. I'd like an alliterative name.
Oh, no, I know. I meant makes you think about potentially the episode title.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, anything's possible.
I think I would love an alliterative name. Anyway, that's for another time. Okay, so Dave Drum. He started noticing an abundance of station wagons and early model RVs overnighting on the side of the road or in a church or retail parking lots. This was during the time of the, quote, Great American Road Trip. And if you have no idea what the Great American Road Trip is, it's not like this formal thing. It's just like a segment of American history or American travel history where road tripping was an incredibly common way to spend your vacation time or your time off, or to, do something with your family or friends. It was a time in around the 60s where families and individuals were starting to mobilize with car purchases, driving all across the country for vacation or just to see the world. Cars were bigger than they are now. Gas was cheaper than it is now. It was the perfect excuse to hit the road. Think about trips down Route 66 or driving from Chicago to Florida and your family's Chevy Impala. I talked a little bit more about this era of travel in episode 124, The American Dream, where we already talked about the American Dream with EGOT. The other side of the American Dream is, of course, the motel. So during the 60s, motels were everywhere. The new interstatement system was up and running. Small hotel chains like Holiday Inn and Best Westerns were cropping up, but campgrounds were starting to disappear. So before motels, before the Great American Road Trip, people used to stay when they were traveling in all sorts of situations. There could be like roadside inns or like bed and breakfasts. They would pitch tents on the side of the road or sleep in their cars on the side of the highway. There were things like tourist courts where essentially you would like drive your car in and sleep in a shed. You name it. And this is where Mr. Drum comes in at the intersection of campgrounds disappearing and motels taking over. He owned some land in his hometown of Billings, Montana. And after noticing people camping along the Yellowstone River near his property and seeing travelers heading to the Seattle World's Fair, he had the idea of starting his own campground. He began by asking travelers what they were looking for in the way of overnight accommodations, and based on their answers, he set up a commercial campground on his property. And it had electric hookups, views of, the Yellowstone River, central shower facilities, a convenience store. He called it Billings Campground, and campers could pitch their tents there for $1.75 a night.
That's a good deal.
It's a pretty good deal. I mean, I don't know if it was a good deal for back then, but sounds like a good deal now.
You could buy 2 bras for that, but...
True. It's like, okay, am I going to camp on this Billings campground, or am I going to buy my 2 bras? So the campground was hugely successful, and by the summer of 1962, Drum decided to create a system of campgrounds throughout North America. He was a businessman, so he founded KOA, and then he gave it to somebody else and dipped, which we'll talk about in a second. But he was basically trying to like build up a money machine. So the first of these, campgrounds, that would be the system of campgrounds, was founded 3 years after Billings Campground, and it was the very first KOA franchise in Cody, Wyoming. The franchising continued, the success continued, and by the end of 1969, KOA had 262 campgrounds in operations across the United States, and by 1972, 10 years after the creation of KOA, KOA had 600 franchise campgrounds. So there was a reason why KOAs were so successful. They were exactly what the traveling public was looking for: a clean place to spend the night and the security of knowing that they could leave their belongings and take day trips to nearby parks and attractions. David Drum's early philosophy in founding his first campsite was that you better know what your campers want. And this is still the case with KOAs. One of the things that I found incredibly boring about this topic, but it was incredibly important about this topic, is the data system that KOA uses to get information about their campers and how they utilize that information to open new franchise, close old ones, update facilities and activities and amenities at their various KOAs across the United States. They are incredibly data-driven. They release a KOA data report every year. You can Google like 2022 KOA report, and it breaks down and like segments people who go to KOAs, why they do, what they like about it, what they don't like about it, how they can improve these things. And that's like their yearly report. But at the end of every single day, at any given KOA, they get like, I forget what they called it, but it's like a fast report that breaks down the same exact thing that this annual report does, but for your specific singular KOA site. And so you can kind of like figure out how to, I don't know what the words are, but I'm going to use like internet words, like how do you can convert more people to stay at your KOA and have them come back, and what are the things that they like, don't like, how you can improve them, why they might be staying at your KOA one night and another one another night.
Wow.
They
Sounds complicated. I feel like people just stay at a KOA because that's like where they're driving.
Right. No, there's more. There's more to it.
Apparently.
The current owner, the family that owns KOA now, is like a Chinese family. And the head of the company, the president of KOA, used to be a big shot for Harrods Casinos. And when he came over to KOA, they're utilizing this concept. I can't remember the name from Harrods Casino, but essentially the concept of like knowing your most prolific gamblers, your highest gamblers, or the people that come back the most, and how to make them feel so, so special that they continue coming and spending money and gambling. And he took that concept and is implementing it in the data system for KOA, which is wild to me. And yeah, just a reminder that there are thousands of independent campsites in the United States, and KOA are privately owned. So if you're looking to support small business, stay at a smaller campsite. But KOA's, for what it's worth, because it's franchised, because it's a private company, I think you can expect certain amenities or better care in a lot of ways than you might at just an independently owned one. It really depends on the vibe you're going for. Anyway, so that's the KOA data bananas. I'm going to talk a little bit about an important part of the history of KOAs. It's the famous KOA logo, of course. So David Drum collaborated with a Billings artist called, his name was Carlo Fujiwara, to create the logo. It uses simple dots and lines to signify a teepee with an open door and smoke rising from the top. The logo is also a graphical representation of the letters KOA. The straight lines make up the K, the circle represents the O, and the triangle represents the A. Fun fact, Carlo Fujiwara was not only the designer of the logo, but he was a grandmaster in Taekwondo in Billings, Montana, so good job, Carlo. And Carlo's name is spelled with a K. And when they tried to patent Campgrounds of America with a C, Dave, the patent office was like, you can't do that. And so, because Carlo had a K in his name, and he designed the logo, they switched it to K, Campgrounds of America.
There you go.
And that's history for you. So, eventually, Dave Drum handed over the management of KOA's to KOA's first president, a man named Darrell Booth. Dow propelled franchise expansion, with expansion peaking in the 80s to more than 900 active KOA franchises. And since this rapid expansion, KOA has had their times of struggles. There have been times when they've had to close a bunch of KOAs, and then they could get more, and then to close them again. And depending on the global travel environment, things may be looking good for KOAs or worse for KOAs. So important moments in KOA history. During the 1970s energy crisis, it caused the collapse of many travel-oriented businesses, but luckily, KOA had a pretty large footprint. Remember, they had 900 franchises, and they were able to hold out during the oil embargo and the resulting gas shortages. So people, if you were driving in your car to go to a KOA, if there's gas shortages in the 80s, there's no way you're going to drive anywhere, let alone to a KOA 3 states away. But because I had so many KOAs, it was easy for them to keep some of them open, and people were traveling more locally rather than further away. And during the time after 9/11, when air and international traveling felt scary to many Americans, KOAs and camping seemed to fill a national need to reconnect with family and spend more quality time with the ones you loved. The president at the time, Jim Rogers, was a management trainee, and he joined KOA while working on his master's thesis on family camping. He realized people were going to be people with high impact from the 9/11 thing who lived in 9/11 thing, LOL, the 9/11 tragedy, were living in in New York. He decided we need to help these people, and he founded an outreach program and offered free weekend trips to KOA campers in those areas after 9/11. So it allowed Americans to travel and feel safe while traveling, especially in a time where air and international travel felt uncertain. And then the recession of 2008 had a dramatic effect on travel patterns, but people didn't stop camping. KOA quickly discovered that during this time, millions of campers continue to travel because they've already invested in camping. People have owned RVs, they own camping gear, all of this stuff. I mean, if your family's a camping family, you're a camping family. You know, Matt's family, they've always camped. They've had RVs, they've done the whole thing. Most of their family vacations were on campgrounds, which couldn't be me. But
no, I mean, it's a big investment at first.
It is. And they had tons of kids, so it was good for them to do camping. But so during this 2008 recession, they realized, people have already made these investments. People are still camping. And even though people didn't have tons of money to do the Great American Road Trip and travel all over the country, KOA campers continue to travel, but replaced their multi-state road trips with shorter itineraries closer to home, similar to what they did in the 80s. So essentially, they found that camping is never going to die. Today, there are 508 KOA campgrounds in North America, 33 in Canada. And KOAs are constantly evolving to meet the needs of travelers. So your iconic 70s era KOA would be like A-frame cabins, lakeside ice cream stands, friendly yellow-shirted counselors, and putt-putt golf, right?
Amazing.
Now, you can still find those things at KOA campgrounds, but now you might also get free Wi-Fi, larger campsites, an increase in cabin camping facilities for those who might want amenities when they're camping, such as electricity, a bed, a private bathroom, and a kitchen, which I like camping, don't get me wrong, but I'm of an age where I will not be uncomfortable. I can't.
That's fair.
So if I go to a KOA, I'm definitely getting a cabin. I know Matt really wants to start tent camping again, though, and I'm like, God, we did it in college. I don't know if I can do it now, but he could pitch his tent in front of the cabin door, and I could sleep in the bed inside.
But have you seen the online people who get like the big, like the 10-person tents, but then they have like a queen-size blow-up mattress in there and like a blow-up couch?
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Like a rug, an area rug. So
when we went camping in college, Matt and I did like the whole like ground on the ground tent. Like you had your bedroll and it would kind of cushion things, the whole thing. He's a Boy Scout, so you know. But his friend brought the biggest tent I'd ever seen for one guy, a huge blow-up mattress, which he then put on top of like a stand.
Yeah.
And he had like the best night's sleepers. Matt and I were shivering and miserable the whole night. And I'm like, that's how you gotta do it. If we're gonna tent camp, I'm gonna be comfy. I'll tell you that. Okay, I'm gonna talk about some of the coolest KOAs in North America. And when I say cool, it's not like, you know, when you talked about hostels, some of these were really cool. These are just some of the fun ones people talk about. But first, there are 3 tiers of KOAs, which I didn't know. Each have their own unique experiences and varying amenities and perks. So the first is the KOA Journey, and I think this is probably the one that people are most familiar with. These campgrounds typically sit near major highways and byways across the country. They have long pull-through sites that make it easy to stop for a night or two during your adventures, and they typically have fewer amenities. So it's like your traditional just pull in, camp, and go. But typical KOA amenities tend to be like laundry facilities, communal showers, communal bathrooms, maybe a playground for kids. The next up is a KOA holiday, which I think I've stayed at one of these. These tend to be for traveling RVers. You can also tent camp at these or cabin camp, depending. You can find swimming pools, playgrounds, RV sites with large patios, and then scheduled activities that will keep you and everyone entertained. One of the ones that I stayed at while we were there, they were doing a vintage RV show. So we were tent camping, cool. But all the RVs were vintage. And then like on that Sunday morning, it was like a potluck. So you could go to each RV and grab like a snack and then tour all these vintage RVs. It was so cool. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even know this was happening. And they also had like a potluck on like a Friday night where everybody brought like a soup. It was fun. Yeah, it was cute. And then the next tier up is KOA resorts, pools, hot tubs, group facilities, food service, holiday events, and a massive list of planned activities, tours, and more. So if you're like,
hot tub?
I said hot tub. So if you're looking to elevate your camping experience, go to a KOA resort. So now let's talk about specific KOAs. First, I'm going to just throw out the largest KOA campground is in Florida. And I don't know how to pronounce this word. Maybe you know this word. Okeechobee KOA. It has a 9-hole golf course, driving range, and putting green. That's bananas to me. The next, and again, don't get your hopes up for how cool these are. These are just pretty interesting KOAs. Devil's Tower KOA is a KOA journey. The Dreskill family has owned Devil's Tower KOA for 8 generations, which I thought was cool. It is an RV site, cabins, tent camping. And this KOA sits less than a mile from Devil's Tower National Monument, which you might recognize from the 1977 Steven Spielberg movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Can you believe? And Devil's Tower KOA embraces the movie and plays it every night for its guests. Isn't that hilarious?
I love that.
They also have nightly hay rides, hiking trails, and nightly community campfires with local musicians and storytellers that come. Sounds like fun. Then we've got the Mount Rushmore KOA, which is a short drive to Mount Rushmore, Crazy Horse Memorial, Custer State Park. If those things are interesting to you, you can play mini golf, take a dip in the pool, and they host on-site rodeos during the summer. Are you kidding me? I would go to this KOA just for the rodeo. And then they have this website called a world-class chuck wagon dinner cart, and they have a daily pancake tent for breakfast, which is fun.
Basically, if you work at a KOA, it's like you're just constantly working at a summer camp.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
And
you
a
want
lot
to be
of
a perpetual counselor.
it's perfect for you, or just own one, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of these are like open during a specific season, depending on the area that they're in. The ones in Florida tend to be open all year round, whereas some like up north are not open all year round. And then the last one is KOA Moab. I thought this was interesting. They offer like all the things that you would offer at like a regular KOA, like camping, tent camping, RV hookups, cabin camping, a pool, playground, a general store, those types of things. But the Moab KOA also offers bike repairs and cleaning for cycling enthusiasts. So if you're a big biker, we talked a little bit about biking earlier. If you're on a century ride, maybe stop at KOA Moab and get your bike tuned up on your way across the country. And if you're interested in more exciting KOAs, there's one in the Florida Keys that looks really cool that has like not only can you like put your RV there, like park your RV, but you can like park your boat if you're like doing like a longer boating trip or something.
Amazing.
Yeah. If we ever decide to take a camping trip, we should look into some of these KOAs. I think it could be kitschy and fun to pick a weird one.
An RV trip? That'd actually be kind of fun.
Matt and I want to get an RV, but that's a dream for 5 years.
They're just so much work. I'd rather just rent one.
We could just rent one for a quick dip into RVing. But yeah, that's KOAs, and I thought it was fun. A nice piece of American history, but not as exciting as the bra.
Well, I don't know. Can't compare them.
It's true. To each their own, as they say.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for your constant support. And I hope the Eagles have won. I might sound like a big old idiot right now.
I'm not going to say anything.
She's not saying anything. Cool. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about it next time. But until then, please keep curious. As always, keep writing to us. Let me know when I make a fool of myself during hits and shits, etc., etc.
If you want to do that, you can find us on Twitter at The Good Eve Girls.
Or Instagram at The Good Evening Girls.
Or TikTok at The Good Eve Girls.
Come on down, stick around, and until next time, bye!
Bye!